I'm Breann McGregor. I really want you to talk to me about when you were saying I felt like a loser and I felt like this and that. Please, if you don't.
Dude, no, I will. I have for years felt like super inadequate, just not good enough for anything. Just not good enough for anything. I'll just leave it at that. Just not good enough. Here it is. I'm trying to, I think it's the artist's curse, or just, I don't know, man, just being like this. I've gone through some therapy and I've kind of got to the bottom of it, dude. Like when you're raised and when you're, for the longest time, I thought I was just inadequate. I put it to you like that. I just leave it there. Okay. And then I didn't voice it out. I just built up a nice persona, a nice facade, a nice ego to hide all that soft jelly on the inside, man. And I lived my whole outside life like that. And then I had to live my inside life like that too. As far as like being in the house, I couldn't be myself anywhere. So there was like no place to feel like I was doing anything right, except making babies and practicing making babies and freaking that level of stuff, dude. And that's deep too, man, in itself. Like, man, people don't talk about that, dude, but that's a real thing, man. And so it's like, ugh, I just felt like, ugh. And then after I quit drinking, after I stopped drinking and I started to see that it wasn't conducive to my well-being and I wasn't making the proper choices while I was drunk and while my soft squishy was turning into brittle and bitter. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't what I wanted to, I didn't want to unleash that on anyone or anybody or anything or on myself. So I stopped. I was like, I'm good, dude. I don't want to be associated with being a happy drunk. Like, I don't want my kids to only associate me being happy is when I'm drunk, dude. And that shit hit me so damn hard, man. I was like, I'm good, bro. And then I went through the shakes. I went through all that stuff, man. And I was like, dude, I am done. Because I've been drinking since I left the military. And that's just one thing.
I didn't know you were in the
yeah, man, I did 4 years in the military, not the major. I wasn't like a general or nothing like that, but enough to catch the bad stuff as far as like drinking and just, you know, just all kind of like not good, bad habits, dude. And one of the good habits that I did pick up was discipline and kicking myself in the butt and understanding that this is going to be good. Like if you just finish this out. And I've been waking up every day just thinking, all right, just finish this day out, dude. Just finish this day out. You'll be good. And I'm on a routine now. I'm hustling and, you know, working and writing music and just like you mentioned, talking and like being free. There are things that have been welling up inside of me, that I haven't even halfway talked about at all, just because I figured it would hurt somebody's feelings, or it would be, it wasn't anger and it wasn't lust, so I could not express it. Those were the only two expressions that I would get validated for. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like when I was anywhere, if I was lonely, I couldn't, there was no validation. There was no like, oh, you're lonely. Oh, it's not a big, you know, nothing. If I was sad, nothing. If I was happy, it was almost squelched. Oh, why are you smiling? Like, why are you so happy? And I'm like, dude, so I got used to just being miserable. I got used to it like it was a freaking thing, dude, to the point where I was like, you know what? I can't live like this anymore, man. I can't live like this anymore. I stopped drinking. I went through my detox. A week afterwards, I started to like dream vividly about like the world, about just a lot of stuff that is very like on point with where I was. And it felt like everything was pointing to, like, get your life, bro. You got to take care of you, man. Like, you got to take care of you. You're expecting somebody else on the outside to make you feel like how I'm supposed to make you feel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm supposed to make you feel like this, dude. Like, so then I started writing songs. I quit writing songs about brokenheartedness, like how somebody did me wrong. I started writing songs, and I noticed some of my favorite songwriters did this, dude, like Emily King, Prince, you know, those terms. Prince is my favorite, and Emily King is like a little miniature female Prince, and she's like hella cool. And I heard her talking about how she would write songs about love, but it was to her freaking self. Like, it was to her conscious. It was to her insides. Like, you know, you were there when I needed you the most, and you were there when I was crying. Everybody else was, because it's the truth. It's the truth.
Yeah,
And I started talking to myself like that, dude. And dude, your soul hears you. So your soul, God, the universe will send people like you, people like friends that I'm just bumping into and being like, random people will say something so spot on to your experience that it'll make you go, God is good. That's the only thing you can say. You can't say thank you, sir, for saying that. The only thing you can say is God is good.
Don't you feel like it's because you're able to recognize this and pick that up because you are present? I mean, if you were just talking about the motions like in a hamster wheel, too busy with life, you wouldn't see it. You'd just be like, whatever. But to actually go through that, like that time of self-reflection, and your when you're on your like journey, it's like things start to hit you. Like, I'll be praying for signs all the time, like angels give me a sign, whatever it is, and I'll see a bird and I'll be like, thank you, I know that's for me. And I will see a sign in everything. If my husband says something, I'm like, yep, you just answered that, thank you. So I mean, I just feel like I am on this journey, and I do believe that on this self-awareness journey of like self-reflection and finding out who Breann is versus what society has told me to be versus what my parents have told me, or whoever has taught me to be, whoever I've been surrounded by, I am finally for once being who I want to be. And that is so fucking hard. It is so hard to be like, forget all these ideas of what you guys think. I'm figuring out me, and if you don't fucking like it, guess what? Fuck you. I don't really give a fuck, you know. And I have never been able to really say it like that since I've been doing this, and I feel like I'm saying, fuck you, I don't care, this is me. And I guess there's a part of me who's like, what if like who I really am, people don't like it? Like, what? Who gives a fuck?
Fine. I don't care.
I
don't care. I turned 40 last year. The most uneventful 40 the most uneventful birthday situation ever, dude. It was like, this is fucking great. One of the perks is, I was like, you know what, dude? I'm so over everything. I said, I've tried my whole life trying to make people like me. And I hit a wall. I said, I will love me. I will like me. And if no one else does, fuck them. And if people do, I will love them. I will love those who love me, and even love those who don't love me.
Because if you don't love yourself, you can't love anyone else. You know, like, it's like we're just going into a wall. We're just hammering ourselves. Like, you're just, and I felt like that early on in COVID, things would happen and I'd just say something, but I felt like I was constantly repeating myself to my husband, and I'd just be like looking at him, and I would just picture my head and a wall, and I'm just going bang, bang, and it's just like this hammer just going, and I'm just like everything that came eventually, like I tuned everything out. Everything was kind of like this, like
right, yeah.
And I'm just like looking at everyone, and I'm just, and it's almost like your body does that to protect you, because it's like push the bullshit out, and I just focus in on, and it's come to a point where if it's not meant for me to retain, I won't even hear it. I mean, I know my husband, you're not even listening to me, but my brain is like being really choosy right now. It's like, sorry, like this information that comes in and out has to be like constructive and it's going to help you or whatnot. But I mean, I find what you said, like I felt alone in that feeling of feeling like a loser. Like I was doing this talk with my friend Ashley and I told her like, I'm like, I just don't feel good enough. And she's like, Bree, what the fuck? Why? And I'm just like, I just don't. I don't know. And I literally legitimately just started crying because I'm like, I did not want to go there. But I mean, still, that has been my biggest hurdle. And you know, I tried to sign up for school because my biggest fear was I've always been told if you don't have your degree, you'll never be good enough. So in my life, that's all I've always felt like I don't have my degree, so I didn't finish college. I need to go back or else I'm not good enough, which is so stupid. And that alone is like another story. You know, I don't want to take this off. This is on you, but I was supposed to start school that day, August 31st. And I ended up not starting it because when I was going through the process of signing up at Pierce College, which is in Woodland Hills, I met somebody over there, like this counselor that I really liked. And the whole reason I wanted to go back is because when I told her why I was going for my degree, I was like, well, if I don't have a degree, I'm not worth something. And she's like, if you were coming to school to get this piece of paper, you were going to be highly disappointed. And I was like, that hit me. And I'm like, holy fuck. Like, she's not trying. She's like, this is that. Like, I sat with that and I ended up not going to school in 2018 because my sister had lost my niece. So during COVID now, I talk to my therapist every week virtually. And he said, Breann, face your fear. Do something that scares you. So I was thinking about it in June and late June. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go to school. I sent my transcripts there in 2017. I went through the whole process. So let me call up a counselor. And I was like, so I emailed the counselor and said, hey, look, I want to go to school. I met you like 3 years ago. You know, could you please tell me how to go about doing it? And she sent me a link, told me to make an appointment. I made an appointment with a counselor. That counselor was not able to help me, said she didn't have my transcripts, told me to go to the administrations. So I go to the administration office like 12 days later because I tried to see if I could get that other counselor to help me because the one I reached that I got through the link wasn't, you know, we just didn't, whatever. Yeah. So she didn't call me. So I'm like, you know what, I'm not going to wait because I know she's probably busy. She's got like, so I went online, did the whole virtual thing. And while I'm sitting there on administrations and she's on the other line trying to figure out why the counselors are so stupid. And I'm reading all this as she's saying it to me, but I didn't realize that I was seeing. So as she's like telling me we're talking like this, but I can't see her. And I was just focused on this left side of my screen. And she's like, can you put in your student ID? And I'm like typing it in. And all of a sudden I see the word stupid. And I'm like, what? So I look to the right and I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, counselors are so stupid. I don't know why they send you here. And then it's like, why'd she wait 12 days? God, she's crazy. She needs to see a shrink. Oh my God. And I'm like, what the? And I'm sitting there like, are you fucking kidding me? It's about me. So I'll go through and I'm taking pictures of everything. She clicks back over and I'm like, I couldn't hold back the tears. And I actually was so excited to tell my therapist within 5 minutes when I started seeing, like, it had been 50 minutes that I was on hold watching her talk about me. And she clicks over saying, can you give me this? And I said, just for your information, the reason I waited 12 days. And she's like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, the reason I waited 12 days is because I really wanted this other counselor. And I said, and also, just for your information, in about 5 minutes, I have an appointment with my therapist, just so you know. And she's like, oh, I don't know what you read. Don't read that. Like, it makes nonsense. It makes up own words. Don't look, whatever. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And I'm just like, whatever. And she's like, I was talking to someone else and it wrote the word dumbass. And I had to tell him that not to pay attention to what it writes. And she's like, can you still see it? And I'm like, she's like, I was crying and I was defending myself. And she's like, now you're frustrated. Like, now you're frustrated with me. Now you think I said this. I didn't say this, blah, blah, blah. And at the very end.
That's evil. That's evil. That's evil.
Right at the very end, she goes, Breann, I just want you to know that what I said wasn't about you or intended for you to see. Be safe and be well. I'm like, did she not just fucking contradict herself? So I called up my friend. I spoke to my therapist because it was like he legitimately called. I missed it because I was on the phone with her. I hang up, I talked to him, and he's like, that is vicious. He said, she is a bitch.
Vicious.
But
yeah.
Anyway, he told me, Breann, I want you to sit with this. Don't feel like you have to rush through going to school. Like, take some time. Don't react or anything like that. And I was so upset and hurt. Like, I cried and cried. And then I called up my friend, and she said, Breann, you can call up the school advocate, the dean. And I'm like, oh, they have that? And she's like, yeah. So I reached out to him, and I said, I briefly just said what happened. And he said, call me tomorrow. Can we, actually I called on the phone that day, left a message, but it wasn't enough for someone to want to call you back because it was obviously not that long of a message. And then the next day, I sent him an email, and he wrote me back within 30 minutes. And he said, can you please talk to me today at 3:30 my time? And I was like, I'm on a Zoom call is what he said. And I'm like, absolutely. We spoke on the phone for an hour, and he said, I'm going to let her talk about, I told him what happened. He said, I'm going to talk to her and see what her story is. And I said, well, I can send you the pictures of what she said. And he's like, oh, you took pictures? I'm like, well, yeah, I couldn't read all that because it was like, I had no clue that she was like, all of a sudden things are just popping up. And I'm like, that word, just stupid, caught my eye. And I'm like, what the hell? And he's like, I'll have someone from Canvas portal, a tutor, reach out to you. I'll have a counselor reach out to you. Because the only question I had was, are the 4 classes that I am taking, do they go towards my AA degree? That's all I want to know. And I need a counselor to tell me that. And the counselor that had me go to admissions said that she doesn't have that information. I need to go to administrations. And then administration tells me the counselors are so stupid that why are they sending you here? Go back to the counselors. And I'm like, okay, wait a second here. Like, I'm like going like this. So that he's like, if this was July 27th, he's like, if you don't hear from me or my assistant or counselor or someone from Canvas by Friday, call me on Monday. I've never heard from any of them. No one. I called him, left him a message. August 31st, I'll wake up to take my class because I dropped 3 of them because I was just like having panic attack, anxiety. And I'm like, I can't do this to myself, because the whole reason for me to go to school was for me to have some sort of structure while I'm displaced right now, because that's something that I need to keep myself mentally like sane. And so I wake up, I read the syllabus. I can't understand a fucking thing. And I'm like, oh my God, I tried to have, like, I tried signing up for school late June, giving myself plenty of time to get, like, lay down a foundation that is solid enough for me to start on, though I haven't been in school since 2005. And I had all the time in the world that I could have, like, that I was trying to get the tools that I needed to assist me to better understand how school online works or whatever. And by trying to do that, I got said that I needed to see a shrink. You know, like, it just was really like, I'm already having like, mentally, I'm already hurting and I'm crushed. I feel alone. And then you're getting called all these things that you already feel that you are crazy. And so she's only like reiterating it. And I'm just like, so that day when I couldn't understand it, I had my mom read it, and she's like, Breann, I can't understand it myself. And I said, at the very end, it said that if you have any technical issues or anything, it's not related to the class, because they were having a lot of online issues, to contact administration. And I just started crying. I'm like, I can't call the administration. They like, I can't deal with these people anymore. I cried. And that's when I thought of this. And this has given me so far structure. And I mean, I you know, I'm not putting that whole, since COVID, I'm realizing that piece of paper and having a degree is really fucking up a lot of people with having, you know, bills that they can't pay. I mean, it's like this society is trying to really force us into some kind of corner. Like, you're going to either be here or you're going to be over here. And it's just, I'm not falling for that. Like, I see what's going on because I've been living COVID, and I'm like recognizing little things here and there, and I'm able to pick things up. So because I'm all in here and I'm not taught, I mean, it's a good, it's a blessing, but it's a curse to be, I believe we're deep. We have a deep soul. And so we feel what everybody else is feeling. And I'm always trying to be empathetic. Like that first counselor, I was trying to be empathetic. I was like, maybe she was having a bad day. But I know when that lady clicked over, she was speaking to that counselor, and that counselor, because when I was on the phone with her, I was like, I'm really nervous. I'm so sorry. I haven't been to school since 2005. I broke my neck May 2nd, the day of exams. I was in a neck brace for 3 months. And then when I got it off 3 weeks later, I lost everything in Hurricane Katrina. And this is a super scary thing for me. And I was just totally honest. And I thought that, you know, by at least letting her understand where I'm coming from, she would be able to like empathize or whatever. And instead, I guess when I called administrations and that lady called her, you know, said, put me on hold to reach out to her, that's when she's like, oh my God, I can't get a word in. Yeah, she's crazy. She needs to see a shrink, all right. Like just going on and on. And I'm like, yeah, it was just, it was really, you know.
It sucks to hear stuff like that when you're already going through stuff like that in your head. You know what I mean? I hear you. I hear you so much.
I said, you know, if I was younger, graduating high school, and this is my first year in college, if someone said this to me, I promise you, I do not think I would have been traumatized. I don't even think I'd start. I said, I don't know if this counselor of yours, maybe she's going through something and she needs to be put on like a temporary leave or something like that to get some help. But you do not talk about a student or anyone.
You don't talk about anybody like that.
That is so unethical. And he's like, absolutely, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know, if anything, I just hope this never happens again, because that it's, especially during times like this, are you kidding me? Like, anyway, I just feel like the semester was contaminated. You know, I just said, you know what, Breann, I'm not going to I had been looking forward to August 31st because I was like ready for that structure. You wake up, you eat, you go to school, like you do, like to have some sort of routine going on. And then when I was like, I'm not letting them take away my structure. And that night I was like, this is what I'm doing. And I had interviews set up, and I'm like, and I was so grateful because everyone that I wrote and was like, this is what I want to do. Everyone's like, I'd love to do it. Awesome. And I'm like, fuck, my friends are awesome. Why am I not talking to them? Like, why am I like, I just feel like it made me appreciate my friends. Not that I don't, but it's like,
more. No, you appreciate you. It's okay to say that because that's the truth. The truth is it made you appreciate your friends more. You did not appreciate them.
Right.
You always appreciated them. But now it's like level 1,000. It's like level, dude, I hear you. I completely hear you and understand because it's true. You are going through, we are all going through a time where regular old-fashioned connection, just pure talking, just get it off your chest, having somebody, being validated, having your thoughts that I'm going to send you a book by this guy, this English philosopher, and it's pretty freaking good. It's really good. It's about just that. It's about calming, not even calming, but just watching, just like you said, like when you're out, that's why it stuck out. When you're outside of your world, when you're outside of your head and you're watching your little mind just go, being okay with it and just letting it go, and then just letting it go. And then sitting down and conversating with that voice, not trying to eradicate it, not trying to, you know, put it away somewhere, but actually getting to the point where you're talking to it and being like, dude, what is the deal with you? And then listening to the reasonings behind why you overthink, because overthinking is one of my things as well. I'll get stuck in a loop and literally be in it all night, just over and over and over and over. I'll lay down, get up, over and over. And it's one little thing. I could have, you know what I'm talking about. I could say this, and I know you're going to go, oh, I could have an awesome day. Awesome. I'm talking about like it's freaking beautiful. It's great. This and that. It's like one thing goes astray, and it's lights the fuck out. And I'm spinning and I'm dying, and it's the worst. And I'm in my bed till 4 o'clock in the morning thinking about why that happened, thinking about why that happened. I'm going back down on, this is the cycle. It always happens like this. And it's like it's a rabbit hole, and I'm falling. And it's like, dude, I had to learn through this book that I listened to twice already, that the past is not even real, dude. It's not even real. The future that we're talking about, the future that we think we see, is not even real. It's not even real.
Yeah, I've always pictured myself having, you get married, you have kids, you defend all this. And I'll tell you, my wedding day was probably one of the worst days of my life. It was, my dress broke. I almost fainted. I was like, it was a disaster. I was upstairs cleaning because that's the only thing I could control that night. And after getting married, it was like nothing. I just felt like it was almost like society says, okay, go to school, do all these things, boom, 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 keep us all busy, which is what they've been trying to do, is keep us in these hamster wheels where you just keep going and everyone just keeps going. And none of us really talk. We're just going through the motions of life and we die. That's it. Right. And then it's like, after you get married, okay, they're done. Next group, let's do this group. And then you just go through the physically, like you have kids, then you just get strung out. Then you just want to it's just.
You want to jump off a bridge. You want to jump off a bridge. That's what you want to do.
I can't, and I want to take it back to COVID. How is it on your kids?
Oh my gosh.
If you're comfortable.
Yeah, I'm so comfortable. The kids, when my kids were born, I knew that their generation was different. I knew that their generation was different. They're different. They're just different, man. They're stronger. They're more resilient. They're more than what, I don't know. They're just different. They're raised by us. So however we are, they are, but better. You know what I mean? So they're like, it's just, they didn't really get down. They're not really connected to social media like how we are.
Wow.
They're not, yeah, man. They're not, my kids at least aren't.
No, I think that's amazing.
Yeah. My kids they're very resilient, dude. They don't know any. You remember how, like, when you were younger, I don't know, for me, when I was younger, we lived in some ghetto ass shit. Like, we lived in some situations that were pretty messed up. We didn't know. So the kids don't know. Like, they don't know that it's as bad as it was until me and Mackay, we went driving in Harrisonburg. And we went driving at night to go to Target. And this was the first time he had came out of the house for like a few weeks. I had been going back and forth to work, so I had already kind of like seen it. And he was like, "Dang, Daddy, this looks like a movie. Like, this looks like a movie, like a end of the world movie." I said, "Dude, it does." So that was the first time he mentioned like just the severity of it. And he felt, but they never cried. They never got really weird or nothing like that. So I feel like they've been brought up thinking that they're strong, and they are very, very strong, man. So my kids, and I say that with all the kids, like even the kids in Bakersfield right now, they're out running around like it's nothing, like there's nothing going on. Like, they're on scooters and skateboards and bikes, all of it.
And
like,
they're wearing their mask. And they're
no, they're not even wearing their mask. They're just out running around having a good time, like there's nothing going on. And it's like, what is now? When they go to the stores, they're in their mask. When they go to the stores, and when they're like,
how are they
buildings,
doing with the mask?
When they're playing, they don't wear them.
Well,
and when they're in the house, they don't
as
wear them.
far as having to wear them when they go out.
Oh yeah, my son, he thinks it's cool because he looks like a Mortal Kombat character. So it's like, it's cool. You know, he just look like Sub-Zero or Scorpion. You're like, get over here. You know, it just looks, it's weird. It's cool. They dig it. Yeah. The two little ones or the three little ones, the baby doesn't wear a mask, but Madison and Mackay, they were chill when we were around each other. They were chill. But Marlon, he's here with me every day, so we're maxed up, and it's weird. It's just a weird time. Breann, I'm telling you, it's just a weird time, man. I'm trying to keep it together, honestly. Like, it's just a weird time, man. But we're gonna be all right. I
tell you that I do hear you. It is a weird time. And I wanted to ask you, what do you do to keep yourself focused right now? To keep yourself sane? Like, what would you say what is your advice that you would give?
You're nailing it. Get a routine. Write it down. Get your calendar tight. Count every moment. And when you're not counting a moment, take that time to be quiet and listen and breathe. Connect with your breath when you can. Every time you feel a negative thought, pinch yourself or thump yourself or get a rubber band and pop yourself. Wow. Every time you get a negative thought, pop your rubber band, and your body will respond, because it's just like a horse, or just like or anything. You get a little bit of sting,
like over a boiling water, or like
get you a rubber band, put it around your wrist, and whatever you
smart. Oh my God, I'm so gonna do that.
Whenever you feel like whenever you have like a loop in your mind or a negative thought, just pop yourself, and you go
I'm so doing that. That's awesome.
Then you're like, okay, I'm out of it, because I felt that, and now it's because we get. I don't know about you, but I get comfortable. I used to be comfortable in my shit.
That's what I'm trying. So I realize, I tell my husband too, but I do believe I need to hear it myself, because I feel like I'll be preaching to him, but it's really me preaching out loud because I need to hear it. I need
come on.
I'm telling him, like, you know what? You need to start getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. Uncomfortable is how you need to feel. And he's just looking at me. And then I know inside I'm the one freaking out because shit's fucking uncomfortable. It's been fucking uncomfortable. COVID just made it extra, like, just pronounced. It's just out there uncomfortable, and it's just exacerbated. And I feel like that is one of the things that sets us back, is that when we get into that comfort zone, we don't grow. No. And every time we just sit in there and it's like, and I just know that when I'm in it's good to have comfort at sometimes, but I that's why I said to you, I don't feel, this is not where I'm supposed to be. Like, this feels too comfortable. And that's what I was, I guess, trying, you know what I mean? Like, and I keep, I get in there and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I know this ain't right, because this is comfortable. And it's just, and I just see us not growing, and I know I'm not growing. And I feel that's how, when I'm in LA, I feel like I have wings and I can fly. And I've always felt like, anywhere else, I feel like a butterfly that is in a cage, but my wings can't open up. Like, I'm a caterpillar and I can't come out. And I'm just like sitting there. But when I'm in LA, I'm telling you, when I go over the 405 going towards Sepulveda, and I'm supposed to get off the exit there by, I guess it's Ventura, by the 101 and the, that is my favorite. Like, when you go up and you see the lights, that's my favorite view in the entire world. Anywhere in the world, that is my favorite view. And I tell 𝗺cie, like, there's one time I wanted to stand out of my rooftop of the car and just be like, I'm on top of the world. I mean, that's what I fucking feel like when I go
You're talking about coming down the 405 when you're going northbound, and there's Sepulveda right there, and you're looking right over the valley, and it's like there's the 118 and the 101. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
As soon as you get over, you got the Getty over there that you just passed by, and you're about to go like right before the fucking Galleria, right before the arc light. And I swear to God, I have tried to take pictures there, but I don't get on my phone or anything. And I don't, when I'm out there, I don't like to drive anyway. He's usually driving, but I always he's always like, he goes slow. He's like, you want to take a picture? I'm like, no, you can't right now. It's not this. Like, I can't even take a picture of how it feels, but that feeling is and I've traveled around the world, and that is by far my fucking view. Like, that's what there's
definitely an energy in LA. Being from out here and like being like right next to LA all the time, and like just being a California kid, man, there's energy. I wrote a song about just that, about feeling like you were breaking out. And it talks about just that, about how you have to crawl through the mud sometimes to get to your high point, to get to your lily pad and crystallize, and then break out into, it wasn't a butterfly, but it was a dragonfly, and just be amongst your people, man, because your people are there too. Your people, your family, your soul family is dotted all over the world. But you nailed it. We are comfortable in our shit. We're comfortable in our cocoon, and we stay there, whether it be up here or literally in our own world. But then once we see that cocoon is literally falling apart, for me, it was my facade. It was my freaking ego. It was my freaking falsehood. It was my freaking everything, dude. That started to fall apart, and I got in contact with my voice again, with my voice, and not just like. And then I started to really not just want to be authentic, but I studied how to be more authentic, and like stoicism, and like other thoughts and other like ways and philosophies outside of what I was used to, and what I started listening to everything and finding the commonality and finding what did not need to be. So when it started to hit, I take, just like you, I take what is needed, and even the stuff that makes me feel uncomfortable, I still take it, because that's how we get. If just like your therapist said, if it doesn't scare me, if it doesn't make me uncomfortable, I don't want to do it. If I'm comfortable in telling my story, if I'm not holding back tears even in this moment, I don't want to say it, because I know that a few months ago, me talking like this was a non-existent thing, just because I was so ready to be like, oh, I got this going on, and just not being fake and phony, and being surrounded by fake and phony, and like and knowing that I wasn't loved, knowing that I was not being cared for properly by myself, those around me, and then being able to be loved. And dude, this broke my whole matrix. Then I got to go feed these kids.
Oh yeah.
To be known is to be loved. If you don't know yourself, how can you possibly love yourself? If you don't know those around you, how could you possibly love those around you? If you know yourself, it's easier to love those around you. If you know who you are, it's easier to know those around you. So when you have a connection to everything, dude, like, it's easier to love and to be loved and to let love everywhere you go. Everywhere you go. So then everywhere you go, you are, dude. You are. That's, man.
I can tell you that I know what you're saying is real, because it's just, it's all aligned. You know, it doesn't feel like this. There's no weird feeling, like, it's like it's genuine. So I know you're in a good place. I can feel it. You're sharing it with me. So. Man,
Bree, and whenever you want to talk, call me. Honestly, this was absolutely. We've talked before, we've hung out before, but this is like, I want to like do it more. Like, this is cool, for real.
Yeah,
for real.
And I wanted to actually, we could do this anytime. I love it too. I know you got to go feed the kids, but I'd love for you if you want to, I'd love for you to share a song that you've written.
I'll sing that Dragonfly song. Dude, this song is called Story of a Newt, and it's, well, Story of a Nymph. And it's about this little dragonfly who gets tired of living in his pond, and then he decides to break out, and then he turns into a dragonfly. Because you know how dragonflies start off, right? They're like a little egg, and then they hatch underwater, then they like live underwater for like their whole baby life. They're like little caterpillar life. They're like
it's
underwater.
Kind of like a frog.
Yeah, dude.
Or a tadpole.
Yep.
And then, huh.
Kind of like a tadpole, and then when they get old enough, they turn into a little chrysalis, and they go and they hatch out into a dragonfly. It's cool. I wrote this 4 years ago, so I've been living COVID for at least 4 years. Nothing satisfies me anymore. I am wanting, like a shell with life inside. I am cracking. All those walls that seem so high, they are falling. As they come tumbling down, I am waking. Crawling from the mud, I breathe in air for the first time. Feel so low, but I'm fine. My legs say walk, but my heart says fly. What's the shadow over me? I am heavy. The weight of the world's on my back. I am stronger. Crawling from the mud, I breathe in air for the first time. I feel so low, but I'm fine. My legs say walk, but my wings say fly. Da 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 da.
That is so beautiful.
Oh,
So awesome.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. This was like beautiful. I am so glad. Thank you so much for sharing. And
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Your story and your song. I love it. I love it. Really
Thank you.
We'll definitely have to do this again. And
yeah.
You know, keep it. You know, thank you. You're inspiring.
Let's do it.
So you're not a loser at all. You are everything but that. You are a warrior. You are a survivor. You are like that gladiator. I mean, you're fucking going
running,
you know
dude.
what I mean?
Yeah, that's what it feels like. Yeah.
And that I'm
Breann,
proud
you
of
are
you.
too.
I'm proud of you. Keep it up, because there's you have people that know you, and those that don't. You're what some of us are striving. A lot of us are striving to be. You know, so it's you know like you're setting an example, and it's a very good one.
I appreciate it.
So thank you.
We're gonna keep praying. We are mirrors. We are mirrors.
Oh my God, I know. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. Thank you so much, you guys. Have a great night. All right.
No doubt. You too. Thank you, Bree. I'm gonna see you later.
Yes, absolutely. Take care.